I'm Elizabeth at the Radford Public Library with what's new in books, and what we have here is a new adult nonfiction that was recently released. And if you're someone who loves books and book covers and all things books, you will likely really enjoy this new book, this new adult nonfiction. It's titled The Look of the Book, and the subtitle is Jackets, Covers, and Art at the Edges of Literature. And it's written by Peter Mendelsund and David J. Alworth. And this is a great book, again, if you have a love of books, book covers, anything about books, basically, this book is going to cover it. So on the cover you see a variety of small shots of other book covers. And what was fun for me about this book is just trying to see if I could identify all of those titles of the covers that are listed. But if you are interested in why books are sometimes chosen based on their cover and why others don't get a second look, this tells you a little bit more about the science of it, and it does so in about 6 or 7 chapters, starting with what is a book cover and what was a book cover. So in that you see a bit of a timeline and where book covers began, how they got started, why they got started, and then the trajectory from there. And there are some pages that I have flagged that are timelines or looks at a glance of decades and book covers. And here's that page. This is really fun to see how book covers changed over time in design. So I was saying the book is about what a book cover is and was. It's also about what a book cover does, as well as why a book cover matters and how that book cover is made, and also what the future of book covers is. So that's kind of the chunks of this book. I really loved reading this book because I do love to see why books are really successful and eye-catching, and what the science is behind how these book covers are made. And a little bit more about this. You think in terms of Amazon being such a well-known bookseller, but yet when you search for a book, you're looking at a title that's really tiny, like 1.5 inches. And so at some point, those who designed book covers had to think, how will this book jacket or cover be identifiable when it's only an 1.5 inches large? So you can see how books are impacted by, the design of books are impacted by a variety of things in this book. And then I loved thinking about what the cover of a book truly is. And some of the quotes that I thought were fun from this are, the cover is a skin, a membrane, and a safeguard. If you think about it, that's how this book cover generally functions. It's also the frame around the text and also a bridge between the text and the world. And I like to think about the question that these guys pose as to whether or not a book cover is essential or if it's incidental. And I think only you can answer that for yourself. It was also neat to learn a little bit about not only the science of how book covers are made, but also some of the language involved in creating those designs. I learned things like the big book look, which you're going to have to read to find out a little bit more about, but you've seen this big book look, you just don't know that that's what it's called. Emblematic imagery, white space, negative space, as well as the design of non-design, which is a really interesting concept. And all throughout the book, whenever a term is mentioned like that, you get lots of examples of book covers that you will likely recognize. And I'm just going to turn and kind of flip through this book. One of the other fun things about this book is oftentimes one book has had multiple covers. Like Ulysses has had several covers, so has Lolita. Here's a nice layout of suspense thriller books and explanations for little pieces about the book cover. So you can see how they've identified for the Da Vinci Code large typography of the title and of the author, and foil stamping, which is happening in this Dean Koontz book, and a cover quote, which is where they just give you a little blurb about the book and how great it is and why. But these are really, really fun, and then you also get to see these kinds of timelines through the decades. So, if this is something that would interest you, it's really fun if nothing else, even if you aren't going to read the text. It's really fun to look at all the covers and pick up on how these different covers have changed over the years. I really enjoyed reading every bit of it. I liked the language of it and learning about the science of book design, and also really interesting stories about authors who had strong opinions about how their books ended up looking. For instance, I didn't know that J.D. Salinger really didn't like the design of his Catcher in the Rye book cover with the carousel horse. It's just fun to learn what authors also will weigh in and give ideas for how they want their book design to look. And then consider that artists who are creating that book jacket, some of them actually will read the book so that they can do a better job in representing the book honestly to its readers. So there are just a few things about this new book. And again, that book is titled The Look of the Book, Jackets, Covers, and Art at the Edges of Literature, and it's written by Peter Mendelsund and David J. Alworth. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll let you know soon what else is new at the Radford Public Library. Take care.